My name is Alastair. I'm the co-founder of Startacus, which is an online platform for the enterprising individual. So someone who has a good idea for a business or wants to do something with that big idea or small idea, we're looking to aim to offer them the information and inspiration and support to help them on that journey. I worked in commercial recruitment for just under 10 years, lived in London and put a business plan together to open an office in Derry when I was 25. So that was a business success. At the same time I moved to Derry, got married to a Derry lady and ran a successful enough recruitment agency for 7 years. And then the recession kind of meant that the company that I worked for closed the doors on the office in Derry and relocated all the services in Northern Ireland to Belfast. So I was faced with job loss, very little redundancy pay, and I'd always had good ideas for things to do internally when I was working within the company, but felt that I probably couldn't take any of those ideas forward. So I'd always had the idea that I'd want to do something myself and start my own business at some point. One of the highs was finding what we felt was a service that people needed or should be available to people, which is really a pat on the back for someone who's starting a business. And as amazing as that may seem, that type of support isn't as freely available as you might think. So first and foremost, we wanted to create a platform where we felt that we'd be welcoming to everyone, irrespective of location, age, demographic, type of idea. First of all, probably more generalist than just digital technologies, but don't be put off by the naysayer. So the person that maybe will say to you, that's not a good idea, or that won't work, at least explore whether it will work first before being put off by others. Secondly, understand digital technology. You don't have to be an expert in it, but you do have to understand if you're going to work in a digital format, you need to understand the language that people use, and also the software and the type of skills that people have within that sector and how you can utilize them to make your business better. And thirdly, if you do and you can, learn to code, or at least learn the basics of learning to code, and that's anyone from someone at school through to someone who's 65. It's still a language obviously that will take you and your business forward, and if you have those basic code understanding language skills, at least when you're speaking to someone who does have that background experience, you're not going to be put off by not understanding what they're talking about. The self-employed sector isn't a great payer of a wage, and obviously until you can really monetize what you're doing and monetize it well, it's hard compared to working for someone else where you are pretty much guaranteed a wage, even if it's a basic wage with a bonus on top. So my salary is probably 2.5, 3 times less than it was when I worked in commercial recruitment. I try and balance that up with thinking that I'm a lot happier with what I'm doing than I was, and also the flexibility of working for yourself has loads of benefits as well. So obviously financially I'm probably worse off, and that's the barrier. The plus of that is obviously that I get to do something great and feel empowered to do it as well. The reality is that the audience we have isn't based in Derry, and being based in Derry is not a disadvantage for us to try and find our audience. So 25% of the Startacus audience is London, 70% of our audience is the UK, probably about 5% of our audience is Northern Ireland. And that kind of makes sense because the population of Northern Ireland is probably about 5% of the UK's audience. So where you're based in a digital business shouldn't really have that much of an impact on how well you perform. It's whether you are needed by people. I think that's first and foremost what you need to consider. There's lots of advantages of being based in Derry. There's certainly some disadvantages as well. But some of the advantages would be that you have access to a young and well-educated workforce. Your overheads will be a lot cheaper than if you were based elsewhere. Probably one of the disadvantages we find is that we are not as close to our customer or our client as we would like to be, and there would be a lot more opportunities to do offline events and things where we could definitely monetize more offline in a big city, and that's not available in the local area as much. I used the negativity that I felt was shown in my direction when I was thinking of starting a business, and bearing in mind I had 4 years of management experience, and obviously 2 years previous to that management experience, I had loads of business skills, and I wasn't going to be put off, to be honest, by anybody who kind of pointed in my direction and said this isn't the right type of business to open. So I didn't really have too many doubts. I used kind of other people's doubts as probably a finger up in that sense, and it kind of gave me the motivation to continue. My concern would be that someone who doesn't have that business experience, who maybe has just left university or left the trade because they've been made redundant, who doesn't have much of business experience, would be put off before they even begin because you don't tick the right box, or you're not exportable or scalable, which is obviously one of the things that some of the investment bodies, Northern Ireland and elsewhere, use to kind of gauge whether someone has a successful business. And a successful business to me can be one person, two people, a sole trader, a freelancer, alongside a big scaling tech business. And they're all just as successful in their own right, whether one's turning over 50,000 or one's turning over 5 million. And that is an issue that I think we need to address. They probably do want to be successful in what I do. I'm not happy with what we've done so far, because I'm generally never happy with I meet a goal, I want to move on and do something else. So it's not that we've not been very successful or we've not done very well, but I think we have done well, but I always aim to kind of push myself on to the next level, or what we're doing onto the next level. So yeah, tenacity, the idea that creativity and the thought process of running a successful business doesn't start at 9 and finish at 5. And the kind of want to do something for the greater good, whether that's the greater good for yourself personally or for the greater good in terms of community or social, the idea that you can make a difference on your own working for yourself more than for someone else. Monetize quicker, work out what does and doesn't work a lot quicker.